Let's bring in our friend Stephen Nipper. He is running for Secretary of State, which is an important job. They oversee elections, folks. This is what matters. And Steve joins us this morning from Kentucky. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
We're fantastic. I want to talk about your race, but I got to ask you, have you been to Red State Barbecue? Because if you haven't, I'm going to be mad at you. Lexington, Kentucky, they're a great sponsor.
Yeah,
have you been there
take a ride.
Well, everybody knows Red State Barbecue, yeah.
There you go.
They're a hit. I mean, Lexington, Kentucky itself, horses, chicken, and now Red State Barbecue. So we'll go with that.
That's right.
That.
And Coach Cal as well. We got to throw him as well. He's a great friend. Tell us, Stephen.
That's correct.
Absolutely. So what I heard about this race is that you're the America First candidate, and we want people like that with your values and your principles in there, making sure there's not election fraud and being a strong Secretary of State. But then I hear that Mitch McConnell, who Donald Trump's not too happy with these, doesn't like you, maybe because you're too America First. What's going on there in Kentucky? Why doesn't he like you?
Actually, this is kind of a rematch because in 2019, when we had our other Secretary of State's race, the gentleman who is now our Secretary of State is a protege of Mitch McConnell. His name is Michael Adams. And when I ran against him in 2019, my platform was basically saying, I've worked in the IT industry long enough to know that electronic voting machines probably aren't the best and most reliable source. And also our voter rolls are just extremely chaotic. We got sued in 2019 or 2017 because our voter rolls had close to like 103% registered voters over people. So we had more registered voters than we did people. And in 2019, which was the first race that I ran against Mr. Adams, he vowed to clean these rolls up. He vowed to take us, through all the obstacles and such. And he was the Mitch McConnell candidate. And so when I'm re-challenging him this year, the voter rolls are still just as dirty. Actually, they're worse than they were before. Our voting machines here have caused so much grief and so much anxiety for people. And I've just been going around telling them, look, whatever your opinion is as far as fraud in the election, that's really not the case. I mean, it is the case. It's the main point. But something even bigger that people can get a hold of, and what's really rallied a bunch of people around me in Kentucky, is the fact that we don't control our own elections. In other words, the Secretary of State in Kentucky, plus every other state that I've talked to, seems to have farmed out all of the county clerks' responsibilities against the county clerk's wills, to be this centralized power. In this case would be Frankfurt, and let the voting machine companies run this thing from programming the machine.
Wait a second. Wait, so hang on a second. I don't mean to interrupt.
I know you're processing this. I know. I'm listening.
Because we've been talking about Michigan had a big race in this, Arizona last time, and everybody was setting it up. Yep. This is important, but you're saying a lot of this is farmed out.
Yeah.
How do they explain that? How do they justify that?
Well, see, that's the problem because, and we have Republican dinners and, we're called Lincoln Day dinners. And so our Secretary of State will get up there and espouse the fact that, we're getting more Republicans on the registration rolls. And I'll go up right behind him in my speech and say, we are getting more Republicans on the rolls, and that's great, but we're also not cleaning up our voter rolls. And then when I mention to people, hey, wait a second, we don't even control our own elections, you can just see the jaws drop in the room. And I walk them through the process about you don't control your own vote. And once I walk people through that process, it's like the floodgates have opened up. People are coming to me in droves saying, I didn't know that this was the fact. I had quite a few county clerks at first who thought maybe I was against them, but now they're realizing also that actually I'm for them. I'm for the moving it back to local governments, taking control instead of we're operating under these crazy voting center, COVID mandate style voting centers here. I mean, we have mail-in voting, which we never had before. And this is a Republican Secretary of State who brought all this stuff in under COVID. So They're not happy with me at all. Not at all. The Mitch McConnell group, they've actually been canceling me to speak at events. Yesterday, I was just disinvited from an event I was going to in Lexington, actually. The county chair there said that I was not invited to speak. And I said, well, this has been on your agenda for 2 months. What was the problem? And she said, well, some speakers came in and kind of, took your spot. And I said, well, I understand how that is. I said, I'll just make sure I mention it on the trail. So I spent most of the day yesterday with her calling me back, trying to apologize, but it's too late. I mean, it's like, the mask has been pulled off. People are educated. People are understanding. People, they're quite angry, and they have a reason to be angry. I mean, they have a real good reason. This is, I call the Secretary of State's office the Lord of the Rings office. And I think a lot of the other candidates, on the trail with me were taking offense at that first, but now they understand what I'm talking about. If we don't have control of those elections, we've got nothing. And if we don't get control of it and put somebody back in there who can turn this back over to the proper people, we're done. We are done.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let that happen. Yeah, I'm not going to let that happen to Kentucky. I'm meeting Mitch McConnell's candidate head to head. As a matter of fact, we've got missing posters out on him because he's ducked the last 3 debates. He's even starting to duck Republican dinners, and it's kind of becoming a thing that Republicans come to the dinners just to say what I'm going to say about him. I've got now candidates in the room telling him, hey, let me tell you about these dirty voter rolls. That's costing you money as a candidate because you have to send mailers to people that don't even exist. So now even the other candidates are mad at him. So he's running a Joe Biden.
Fraud. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on the fraud. My own personal home county, I think we had 112% registration rate, and they were saying that they were going to have a voter registration drive. I said, where are you going to put them? I mean, you have more registered voters than you do citizens. I don't know where we're going to put the folks. So,
what are they going to get up to 125%? It gets absurd at some point, I hope. Real quick, the primary, Republican primary you're talking about is next month. It's in May. What's your website?
Yes,
How
sir.
can Great Patriots support you, sir?
It's KY Verify. So it's KYVerify.com. And you'll see on my front page there that there's a donate button there. It's much appreciated. We've got to get some advertising. We set a goal recently of about $60,000 to meet the McConnell candidate. And they've got some deep pockets, but we spend things a lot more efficiently.
Well, good luck. KY is in Kentucky.
Thank you, sir.
And we appreciate you coming in, Stephen. Good luck in the primary.